Hey guys, welcome. Muskie Road Rules Podcast, episode number 226. Guys, thanks for listening. We've been doing them every week now for a long time. Haven't missed too many, but guys, we've got a special surprise for you tonight. Back by popular demand, we've got Tony Radio Face Grant. Tony, what's it like to be back on the airwaves?
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
It's nice. Did you wear anything special for this tonight's podcast?
Today, so I'm naked. All I have is a heart on.
Oh, that is nice. So you're doing it like full, like African tribal,
Exactly.
Titties out. I love it. That is great.
Hey,
Dressed up like Cupid.
it's a special day out here in Kentucky.
It is. It's where they do call it when you shake a pill bottle. That is the Kentucky mating call. So I do enjoy that. Well, you know what, guys? Tonight's podcast, since we do have Tony on here, is brought to you by Red October Baits. Guys, if you've never thrown Red October, you're truly missing out. Total innovator in the tube game for the big game fish. They make them in 3 different sizes. They've got them in the 12-inch, 10-inch, and the 7.5. They've got 4 different rigs, depending on how you want to fish these baits. You can do a ton of different stuff. The colors that they're making of these baits are absolutely amazing. If you go online, go to their Facebook page, Red October Baits on Facebook. Check out some of these colors and stuff that Mark is doing, and I think you're going to be pretty darn surprised what you see there, what they're doing with these tubes now. And so check them out on Facebook at Red October Baits. You can also text us on our text line at 606-776-6570, and that's our Lungin Lures text line. Guys, Lungin Lures, makers of the 22 short, 22 long, 22 SS, a lot of 22s. They make a ton of different crankbaits. The big chubby now I seen is actually a molded plastic bait. They've got the Alley Cat series of lures, the Stray Cat, and the Little LP. You can check them out on LunginLures.com, Check that out, and text us at 606-776-6570. Tony, what's going on?
I'm here. I'm just ready for this big Milwaukee Muskie show. It seems like it flew by, but the show season's, close to being half over.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to this one this weekend up there. We got some great speakers. Both our guys tonight are speaking for us up there. And the weather looks promising. Show's been good there the last several years, so hopefully we're going to have a good one. And other than that, we're only about today, 1 month from today, which is a short month because of February, we start guide trips down here at the Muskie Lodge.
Yeah, no, it's going to be. We got a lot of stuff coming up on us pretty quick. I'm going to be pretty happy to get back out on the water. And actually, it has been the last few days have been beautiful. I mean, today and yesterday we were pushing close to 70 degrees, and I know tomorrow we're going to be warm again, but I think it's going to be pretty windy tomorrow. But we've had some pretty darn nice days. I know Tom Bear, one of the guys that does some trips for us, he was out today. I don't think they did any good, but was saying water temps midday were 43 to 45 degrees. So it's warming up there, and it looks like we're going to get a little cold at the end of the week, but nothing crazy, though. It's supposed to rebound halfway decent.
Yeah, it looks like it's going right back up. The last report I just seen 74 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, no, tomorrow's supposed to be really, but really, really high winds. I think we're supposed to get pretty good rain on Thursday, and then Friday a high in the upper 30s, I think, on Friday, but then come right back up. So yeah, it's not going to be too terrible, but I'm glad you're on here because I'm tired of doing the road rules where I'm asking people, everyone's asking me, is Tony alive? Is Tony okay? Is Tony a paraplegic? So I'm glad that you're on here and you can officially say that you're not dead.
I am not dead yet.
Good. So don't die anytime soon. My money's on a lot later.
It's going to take a lot more than you to kill me.
Well, I tell you what, this weekend I'm going to let you babysit River and the new puppy, and let me tell you, he will definitely shorten your life, because that little bastard, he is as far as like shoes and pants and anything that you have on that he can get a hold of, he's going to get a hold of it. And guys, if you're going to the show this weekend, you're going to get to meet him, and just wear gloves. That's all I'm saying.
That's Greg's son.
Yes.
Thorne.
If you want to definitely English bulldogs when they're 12 weeks old have very, very sharp teeth. Let me tell you, this little bastard loves to chew on everything. But no, but Tony, on the line tonight, we've got two guys on here. We got Michael Hanson and we got Dan Donovan, and they're going to be speaking for us this weekend over at the Milwaukee show. Guys, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm doing well. We're getting excited, man. It feels like we were just down in Chicago, and now we're gearing up for the Muskie Expo in our home state. So looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, that'll be a good deal. Hey, Michael, where are you at? You're up in northern Wisconsin, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm just north of Hayward. I live in Cable, Wisconsin.
Oh, the land,
small little town.
The land of milk and honey.
Oh man, and cheeseburgers.
I'm trying to think if I think I've been through Cable. I know I have. Is it near what's the Minong?
Yeah, Minong's going to be a little bit more to the west of me there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean it's pretty much straight north of Hayward by 30 minutes if you continue north on 63 for that. So yeah.
You guys got much snow on the ground or what?
Oh, God, I've never seen so much snow. And it's been heavy, wet, crappy stuff. I mean, shoveling roofs off and blah, blah, blah. Unsafe ice. I mean, I've never seen the lakes so slushy up here. But at the same time, I got my boat off the water up in Bayfield County up here on December 6th last year. I was the last idiot to be out on the water again. So with this unsafe ice conditions, I've got to catch up with my couch a little bit, which has been nice.
Nice. I know that feeling. Dan, what's it like down in Madison? You got any snow down there?
Barely, man, barely. Honestly, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little worried fishing, spending a lot of time of the season on some of these river systems. But it's good to hear that water is going to work its way down from up north and hit us in the southern zone. It was mild. We're kind of, scratching the itch for muskie. I think a lot of us fly anglers are passing the time tying flies and doing a little trout fishing, but you can only do that for so long before you go nuts. So May cannot get here soon enough.
Sure. No, I get it, man. So let's talk here a second, Dan. What are you going to be talking about at the Muskie show this weekend?
So I'm going to be talking about trolling and sucker fishing, two things I know nothing about. No,
good.
That's a terrible joke. We're going to be talking about
seminar.
That sounds like you just read mine.
I know. I paid attention to the last one. That was good. No, we're going to be talking about fly fishing for trophy muskies. I think it's kind of a little bit of a myth buster. There's a lot of we get customers, we get folks that, oh, you fly fish for muskies. I didn't know that was possible. Or so you have to do that on the rivers then, huh? Or that's really just for small ones. And, I think myself, many of the guides and guys that work at Muskie Fool with me, we grew up with conventional rods in our hands and for, maybe we got dropped on our heads along the way and started picking up the fly rod. But we don't do it to make muskie fishing harder. I'll tell you that. It's hard enough. I think especially on some of these pressured fisheries, we see it work really well. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and hopefully opening a few dudes' minds to another way to approach these fish, especially, what we see, especially on the Madison chain, is the days where the gear anglers, we roll to the boat landings and the gear anglers are getting stumped are usually the days we're doing pretty well, and vice versa. So you don't have to be a purist by any means, but I think consider adding it to your quiver and you might see a few more fish.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, I've introduced you the last couple of years in Chicago and Milwaukee speaking, and it seems like the following to fly fishing is just growing leaps and bounds, even though it hasn't been really publicized too many years. I mean, I'm sure guys have done it forever, but it's got really popular in the last couple of years. But it seems like the following of guys that are interested in your information. I know you do a weekly clinic, and it just seems like a lot of guys are getting into it. Is that what you're seeing?
Absolutely. I think we're definitely seeing all sorts of folks. The guys out west who have spent their careers trout fishing some of the best trout streams in the world, that we're talking fly fishing. That you can only catch 12-inch trout so many times. So I think there's a little bit of that crowd kind of coming over and seeing this as the new thing. And then, you have the conventional anglers like myself who eventually, want to try something new, different baits, or they're struggling on their home waters, or something leads them to say, hey, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So we're definitely seeing a pickup in it. I used the word new a minute ago, and I kind of hate that because we're by no means the first. We're by no means new. People have been catching muskies on fly rods longer than I've been alive. But I think we buttoned it up. I think we gave we have the full service from guides to flies to tying your own flies to rods, reels, and we take it pretty damn seriously. I think, we don't just go float down the river and catch small fish. We try to go where the muskies are. And here in Wisconsin, we got the Madison chain, Green Bay, northern Wisconsin up by Mike. There's big fish on big bodies of water, and we can get them on flies. So I think all of that packaged together is maybe opening a few eyes opening a few minds that have been closed about it for a while. But yeah, it's fun to see. The shop's been open since July, and man, we love seeing all sorts of folk, just the musky folk, the fly anglers, the people that do both. It's been really, really rad. So,
well, I tell you, the down here, I've been seeing it more and more on the little river we have down here. Guys throwing fly rods, and I'm just amazed at some of the things. The one fellow down here, I don't know his name. I can't. I do, but I can't remember it. But he throws some flies. I mean, I've just been out there fishing by him. We'll just be bullshitting in the boats, and he'll throw some stuff that, I mean, it's not like your traditional streamer and stuff like that. I mean, these things look alive in the water. I mean, I didn't even know you could do that.
I think that's probably like to your point about what's changed is the flies. The flies have definitely changed in the last 5 to 10 years, where they're big. They swim like glide baits. They work like rubber. They have all of those characteristics kind of packed into one. And like you said, it's not just this 4, 5, 6-inch streamer anymore that just kind of gets straight lined back to the boat. These things dance.
No, this one he called a game changer or something.
Yep.
And it looked like any swim bait that you would see. I mean, he'd just pull it in, and it literally swam. The tail probably moved, couple of inches, and the way it was swimming in, and it was it looked like a real minnow. So
yep.
I was shocked. I didn't realize that was actually being done and stuff, and the fly thing it's a lot of times I look at it as a pretty subtle technique, but with some of this new stuff now, it's pretty ridiculous. I just know that for me, throwing a fly, I tried it one time, and that was the whole theory of a monkey fucking a football is basically what it looked like. It was not good. And
well, you should see me throw some big rubber, because I'd probably describe it the same way. I don't got that buttery rip like Mike does, but
I had no butter.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I think that's like part of what we see too is, if you put on like one end of the spectrum, you got that speed triggering fish. Has anybody watched that Musky Frenzy Lures commercial? Holy shit. I think I've repeated that like 20 times. It's so fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, that's all obviously speed triggering these fish. Our whole system works on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Sure.
When the blade bite is on, we might as well fucking pack it up and go home, because The flies are usually not what's going to get them. We cannot work those things fast enough. But we get to go really slow. We can, fish those things like a sucker. We can dance, we can hover, we can pause, speed it up, twitch it. That I think, run it over the tops of weeds. We have a lot of that slow speed, maybe triggering some of those neutral fish. That I think that's why I do it. That's why I picked up the fly rod. So who knows?
Sure.
They're all muskies at the end of the day.
What, Tony, you've taken out some fly guys, haven't you?
I've taken out fly guys. I fished with a guy, an older friend of Joe Booker's from Eagle River. He came down here. We fished a few times up north together. I learned a lot from that guy. But, Dan, I had a couple questions here for you. One, a cast for cast with a musky guy in your boat, because I'm sure you've been in the boat with one guy flying and one guy casting. How many more casts is he going to get in? Then the second part of the question is, how many casts is he going to get in per your one retrieve? Because you're talking about slow and all that, which keeps it in the strike zone longer. I understand all that. Is there a giant difference, or is there not as much as you might think?
I think that's the big question. I think back in the day, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even probably more like 10, it wasn't even close. You can picture that guy with the whippy stick, false casting 10 times over his head just to lay it down at 50 feet. And you're probably like, dude, why? It took me, one twitch of the wrist and I got my blades out at 100 feet. So there was a big gap. And I think along came the innovation in flies, and that forced us to really build some different types of rods that, now we can pick it up, lay it down at 80 feet about as fast as you can cast a conventional rod. So I can get it out there as far, probably not as far, but pretty close. 80 feet, once you get beyond that, we're asking for trouble when it comes to musky hook sets, at least in my opinion. We can get it out there. I can get it out there as fast as you do, but then to your other part of the question, you're probably typically what I see. With blades, you're probably getting 3 plus, maybe 4 casts in by the time I get mine back in and do my figure 8. With slower baits, glide baits, some slow roll top waters, it's probably closer to 2 to 1, maybe up to 3, depending on how fast it's going. So there's definitely more opportunity. You get more, bites at the apple. But we get to that entire time that you recasted, my bait's still swimming in the water. And I think, we're seeing that can trigger fish in its own way. So we definitely, I'm not the one to say, hey, yeah, we're keeping up cast for cast. That's fucking bullshit. But we're getting closer. We're making it a little bit easier on ourselves.
Years ago, taking calls down here at the Muskie Lodge, I'd get maybe one guy asking about fly fishing every 2 years or something. And now it seems like I get 4 or 5 a year asking if we take fly trips, that type of stuff. So it's definitely gaining popularity, which probably means it's working. And that, like you said, the biggest fish on the Madison chain came on one. That's, generally in this sport, guys jump on the bandwagon of something that's working pretty good. So that's just got to be proof that those guys are catching some darn good fish on those things.
Yep. I would say that's kind of back to that point of I don't do it to make musky fishing harder. As much as it might look that way to the outsider, we all know what our hands feel like after ripping rubber, burning blades for 3 days straight. It's musky fishing. It's work. It's the same with fly rods. There's no shortcut in this game. There's just different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Hey, Mike, not to leave you out. What up there in northern Wisconsin? Are you seeing many fly guys out there?
Yeah. I'm definitely seeing a few. I think most of them are on the rivers all around here. But from time to time, I definitely do see them poking around out on the lakes, and kind of like what Dan was saying, you're seeing more and more of them, year after year, which is great. Because again, it is fairly untapped, and it can be a good way to trigger those fish when they're not going on the stuff that we're doing. So Always welcome to see that. I've had a few people out in my boat that I've guided that have brought their own flies. Obviously, they want to come out on a guide trip.
You don't supply your own flies?
No, I don't. I mean, the closest thing I could give them would be a Medusa or a bulldog and say good luck. Maybe cut the blades off of a bucktail, but
I would love to see me tie a fly. Oh God!
Oh God!
I know when I was trying to make some baits in my paint jobs, I always said it looked like I painted what a queef would look like. That's what my paint jobs were. I could see me with a fly. Oh God!
Well, I've watched my good buddy Chris Willen. He lives south of me, and I go down there and we hang out during the winters or whatnot. And I'm watching him tie flies, and I'm like, hey, I want to try that. And he's like, trying to tell me how to do all this. I still have this bucktail that I tried tying up, and good God, is it ugly?
Oh yeah.
And I kept it, and I show it to Will, and every time I see him, or just about, it's in my truck, just to remind him of why I'm a conventional guy.
why I don't do my own stuff.
Yeah, that dude ties some pretty damn good flies too. So the bar is high over there, Mike. Willie's got some fucking awesome flies.
Oh, good. See, I wouldn't know what's good or bad. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff
I would. It would be whatever I
holy
made.
Smokes, that looks great.
Yeah,
it's probably hard to throw a fly on a Thorne Brothers 10-footer, isn't it?
It probably is.
It would
I don't throw 10-footers. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah. But they got that covered too, man. I think we get that question all the time. Can I put blades on this? Can I put some weight on this? And you can do whatever the fuck you want. Go for it. But you're just ruining what the fly is designed to do. And I think there's one dude, he's been at the shows, months angling. He's tying up some concoctions, man. They do a little bit of what the flies do, but they're designed to be thrown on conventional baits. So I think he's kind of in that crossover space, which is cool. We're back to that different strokes for different folks. We see a little bit of everything in the muskie world, right? They drive us to the edge. So I'm not surprised to see that stuff working too.
The guys for that have Tony Ray Speed. Tony, what am I thinking of? Widowmaker, yeah. They have they tie up. It's kind of a castable fly, is the best way I could describe it. It's got a wooden kind of a head on it for the weight, and the big long streamer back, and I've caught some fish on them, but they have that. It's pretty much not a lot of wiggle to it, but it has that fly kind of traditional fly movement in the water, and it's definitely a bait that has caught some fish. So I mean, there's a lot of things, and again, I have no right to explain how a fly works by any means, because I know nothing about it. But that's the closest that I've seen to a fly in the castable space. But Mike, let's talk a little bit about what's going on up there up north. How was your season last year?
It was, again, the best season I've had. It seems like every season that I've been up here, it's been better and better. I've been up here now for 5 years. I moved up here from Madison, and, that first year it was good, don't get me wrong, but I knew that there was some untapped stuff that a little bit more time and experience would kind of show me, and we're doing that. So it was a great year. Boated over 117 fish in the boat this year, which is good for up by us. But I mean, the main thing was overall size. We had a lot of big fish in the boat, as far as like 45 to 49 and a half inchers. Can't seem to break that 50-inch mark up here, but a lot of, that I consider a 45 plus incher a big fish.
No,
I don't care where you're at. It's a big one. We hear that 50-inch number being thrown around all the time. And I get asked that all the time by people, at bars or whatnot, just kind of hanging out around here. They're like, oh, how many 50s this year? I'm like 0, and that's just how it is. I'm an honest guy. I measure my fish the way that they're supposed to be measured. And it really doesn't
I would
come down to that.
I would just tell you, if you want to catch bigger ones, put their nose on 6, because
Yeah.
that's how I get a true measurement.
Right.
Is start at 6 and just be done with it.
There you go, man. I might have to take you up on that.
It's the
Try
easiest
that.
way to catch a 50-inch fish.
Well, even that. Well, if I would have, you know how those bump boards, they fold out and there's that little hinge in there, and you can kind of, if you push that back towards the front end, you could add another half an inch plus to that fish.
Tony, remember that, Tony. No, it's, hey, I mean, 50-inch fish are hard to catch. I don't care. Down here in the South, they are, it's just like, up in your area there. I mean, we get them, but 50-inch fish are not the easiest things to catch. And, they're just, they get big for a reason.
No, exactly.
What bodies of water do you fish up there?
Honestly, I'm fishing 6 different counties up by me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I'm doing this to make a living, don't get me wrong, but I'm not really doing it the smart way to where should be making more money by driving less.
Oh, yeah.
If I know that if something's hot and it's an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me, I'm going to do it. I just don't care. I'm not going to ask for any more gas money or anything like that. Like my major goal getting into all this was to have fun and watch people have fun, because deep down, that's what it's all about. And so to be completely honest with you, there are a few bodies of water that I hit more than others, but I am all over the place up here. And I mean, my grandfather said it best back when I was really young: fun ain't cheap. And gas isn't cheap, but gas is fun. And we just continue to dump it into the boat and into the truck and just go and find these things.
Sure. No, I totally get it. Hold on here a second. We lost Tony, of course, because he lives in the middle of goddamn nowhere, and his fucking phone goes out more than anybody. So let me call him back here so I don't have to get yelled at later about being... Hold on. See, this is why I can't have nice things. It's because of him. Hold on 1 second. You there, Dan?
I'm there.
All right. We always have problems. Here.
My Wi-Fi don't.
One thing that never changes, your phone goes out. So here, let me bring the guys back on here. Hold on. Tony, you there?
I'm here.
Did you run out of internet? Did you not pay your internet bill?
Somebody else's podcast, like Brad or the boys up north, it never goes out. But when you're in charge, it always goes out.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Very.
Well, I once I have you on for long enough, I want to get rid of you. So that's why. That's what it's. I've got a dump button here.
Hey, did you get to ask? I missed it. Did you get to ask Michael what he's going to talk about?
Nope, we haven't got that far yet. But Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of piggybacks into these big fish, or whatever, these 50-inch fish that I'm talking about. But I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the smartest strain of muskie, which would be the upper Chippewa River strain and the upper Wisconsin River strain. I mean, the way that I look at it, these fish live very, very long, sometimes up to 25, 30 years. And with that, they have very slow metabolisms. And when you put slow metabolisms, shorter or longer living fish together, they're going to get smart. And looking for these big fish, I'm going to be talking about how growth rates are just so slow up here, unbelievably slow. I have history with multiple fish up here caught over the years where we're seeing maybe a quarter of an inch per year, sometimes a little bit more, but more times it's a quarter of an inch or less per year. And just how special it is to find these big fish, and not only just find them, but to get them to commit, because they've been around the block. They've seen it all. I mean, I'm going to be 34 years old here in March. And I mean, we're talking about fish that can grow, almost up to that age. And I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, which I'm sure most people know, but every year that goes by, I get smarter and smarter. You don't make the same mistake twice.
Well, I'm going to stick down there in Kentucky. If you got smart muskies up there, everybody knows Kentucky people and fish are dumb. So.
Yeah. I'm not saying that other places are dumb, but you look at Minnesota, for example, and some of these bigger fisheries, and these fish, it's a different strain. They obviously have much faster growth rates. But since they have, the way that they're built, they have to eat. If you're growing that fast, you have no choice but to not eat. Same thing goes with Green Bay, seeing these big fish with these tiny, puny heads and little fins, little tails. They have no choice. They have to eat at some point. So I think that's, again, I'm not a biologist by any means. I don't want anybody to be freaking out at me about all this. But, I'm thinking that, and after witnessing this for so many years, that, these fish, they're smart and they grow slow. So when you do catch a 48, 49, or if you do get over that 50-inch mark, we're talking about a seriously old fish that's been around the block.
Sure. That'll, I can totally understand that. What, Mike, this is going to be for both you guys. What got you in, we'll go with you first, Mike. What got you started into musky fishing?
My dad put me in golf lessons when I was 9.
Oh, God.
I didn't say it yesterday. That's what I've been for the last 5 days.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, shoot. Yeah, I was going to golf lessons. I was coming back, giving my parents a full report of what I saw in the water and this and that. And then, I met buddies in elementary school. We ended up getting these bike carts, the thing that you'd tow kids around in. And we'd be out there every day in the summer chasing, just fish in general. Then I ended up getting a bait shop at the age of 11 and a half. At a local, Butt Rooms, it was called, in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And those guys, the guys that I worked with, they kind of took me under their wing. They saw, a kid that really wanted to go fishing, but didn't have anybody in his family, period, that fished. So, and a lot of these guys were musky guys. So I was hopping in the boat with them at any opportunity I could. And that's pretty much when it took over for me. Big time.
Cool. Well, that's pretty awesome. What about you, Dan?
It's similar but different. My dad made me go walleye fishing.
Oh, even worse. Worse than golf.
Yeah, no, and it was like a couple of years of weird night fishing, and we're sitting there, and I, love my dad. He wasn't the world's greatest walleye angler, but we would see these big muskies swimming around at night. They eventually, as they do once in a while, eat our smallmouth or eat our live bait. And it was like, what are we doing? What's that? That's way cooler. So I kind of dragged him into it begrudgingly, and then it took hold. It took hold. I think I've always liked the challenge. And as we know, they definitely challenge us. You try to pattern them, and they just, you go right, and they start going left, and that I think that keeps me on my feet. So,
sure,
always something to learn from Muskie.
What got you into
I don't think anybody would walleye fish if you couldn't eat them. Do you think that?
I didn't catch the first part of that, Tony. What'd you say?
I don't think anybody would walleye fish much if you couldn't eat them.
Yeah, you got to catch them to fucking eat them, though.
I've walleye fished some, and I'm really bad at it, and it's never been my thing. But what got you into the fly end of it?
It was, I was honestly, I remember exactly what we were doing. We were driving over the Rest Lake chain, and I think I had started fly fishing for trout and like the traditional fly fishing a little bit. and was still conventional musky fishing. But, it wasn't, I can't say it wasn't working, but it just it made me think that there was something else that could get these fish. I was fishing a lot of pressured water, Manitwish Waters, Minocqua, Boulder Junction, as well as down here in Madison, Pewaukee. And I vividly remember going over that bridge, looking down the river, and seeing some float pontoon boat and a big sock getting whipped back and forth. And it was just like a little bit of a light bulb moment. I'm pretty positive that was Bill Shear on a guide trip, who is one of the OGs up in Boulder Junction as far as the fly rod goes. And that winter, I actually had surgery on my ass, which is really sexy. And I was like bedridden. Yeah, I was take a shower and clean your ass, boys. That's the tidbit there. But I was like bedridden from. What's that?
I'm writing this down. I'm taking notes. Wash.
That's gonna be in my that'll be in my presentation
daily. Okay, there you go.
And I was bedridden from like October, November, December to January, so a little prime musky season. Couldn't fish, couldn't even do anything but kneel. And I just started learning how to tie flies, and it kind of just. The rest is history, as they say. And then, the next season, I remember telling myself I'm not going to fish with a conventional rod. And ended up having one of my better years. And it was just like, oh, shit. At that time, you thought you just stumbled into Pandora's box. And, in reality, there was a lot of people doing it for a lot longer than me. But, yeah, that's where it took hold. And that was right around college for me. I was down here at UW right around end of college. And then any chance I got, I was still working quite a bit at the day job, but any chance I got, I was fly fishing for them. And then, that led to, after a couple different businesses that I worked with, it was COVID hit, and I got the chance to effectively lay myself off, take a little bit of a parachute, get some severance as part of that. And, we kind of had this aha moment again, I know there are a lot of people out there doing this. We're one of them. We don't have a place to go. No one's got the gear for it, even the fly shops. There's no place like this in the world. And so we just built it. We started online because it was COVID, and I think the customers just kept pulling us forward. And here we are. We got a brick and mortar. I never thought I'd be in retail sales, but I kind of love it. And yeah, I'll probably won't go back unless I get dropped on my head again. Then maybe I'll go back to sucker fishing or walleye fishing. Who knows?
There you go.
Or your ass gets infected.
Yeah, exactly. My ass gets cleaned daily now, so that won't be the problem.
That's good. Again, I'll put that in my notes.
You maybe went up in Milwaukee, give Greg some tips.
Good.
Just don't draw a diagram. I don't want to
pop. Millions of days that I spent in motels with him, I've seen his underwear stuck to the wall several times.
It's like spaghetti, when it's done.
Oh Jesus! I wish I could say I don't know, Greg, but it's hilarious.
It happens. What guys, with your all's experience in the two different areas that you're at, Dan, you're down in Madison area there, and Mike, you're up there in the northern Wisconsin area. What the last couple years, with the flies, what's some of the biggest fish that you've heard of being caught in your area? And then Mike, the same question goes to you. Some of the bigger fish that you've ran into or of caught in your area.
I can go first.
Yeah.
And I'm a Wisconsin boy through and through, and I think it's probably works against us for those big ones. So I can't say I've encountered the megalodons, the 55 pluses, because we just don't have a lot of them here. But we started spending some time on Green Bay with fly rods. We boated a 50 last year. We spent a couple days out there. We just got up there right as the season opened. And I think that was really in a fishery that we had not spent a lot of time on with fly rods, where I think that started to really open it up for us and say, this is, on days where we were talking to the gear anglers, they weren't seeing fish early spring when they can be a little moody. So that was successful last year. Man, that 53 on the Madison chain, I think it's opened a bunch of people's eyes. How many guys fish that body of water, that exact spot? There's probably a guy fishing it every single day from May 6th to closing bell with gear, trolling, suckers, you name it. I can
multiple guys.
Yeah, multiple guys.
Unbelievable amount of people.
It gets pressured, and I think I can probably name the 6 fly anglers that fish it, myself and a couple of our guides included. So I think just statistically, it makes you wonder, what's going on there.
Sure. Well, that's pretty cool that, that now when you're out there, that fish on the Madison chain, what was it caught on? Do you know the kind of fly it was?
Yeah, it was honestly just a little small, 9-inch, articulated Buford, like nothing special, fly that's been around for a long time, orange and tan. We got some pictures of it on our social media. And I remember he called me. The funny story about that is, we were rowing. One of our guides was out on the chain a couple days before. We were found kind of where the fish were, but they were being lethargic. And, I was supposed to go out with Nathan as it goes. Nathan and another buddy were out there fishing. And the day before, they actually caught like a 7.5-pound largemouth bass on the chain, like just an absurdly grotesque bass. And then the next day, day before Thanksgiving, they right at noon, they hadn't seen a fish all day, casting it right out in front of, John Nolan, where as Mike indicated, hundreds of anglers fish every single season. And, the rest is history there. So it was pretty special. And I think also special for not just the fly, but, it's just one fish. But I think what we're trying to do here in Madison, it's a little bit of the Muskie experiment zone where we're not in a native receptor, native water. So we got all sorts of muskies swimming around. We got Upper Chippewa, Wisconsin, Leech Lake, Great Lake, some natural tigers because they haven't stocked tigers in a while. And, we're really doing that to try and compare these growth rates. I think we all have our own opinions, but when the science gets put to it, which fish have a bigger top end size, which fish grow bigger. And I'll tell you right now, we don't see a lot of 53-inch Wisconsin strains on the Madison chain. So that was kind of a good anecdote, one fish, but anecdotally points us in that direction as part of the Muskie Club here to keep doing that, keep stocking those Leech Lake and Great Lakes fish. Sure.
Same now, Mike. What's your answer to that?
So basically, man, I hear 50s all the time up here, and not all the time, but you hear of them and so on and so forth. I'm gonna kind of back up about a fish that I've had some history with. I caught a fish in June of 2020 at 49 inches. And a year later, it was caught by another area guide up here. And that fish was measured at 51 inches.
I like his bump board. Again, start on 6. I'm telling you.
I like his bump board is right. And, I know this fish. I know in general that a fish that old is not going to grow 2 inches in a year, but kind of keeping my mouth shut about it. My good friend Terry caught her this past October at 49 3/8 of an inch. So, and I know I've heard stories of this fish being at 47 inches in 2017. So we're talking from 2017 to the fall of 2022, this fish went from 47 inches to 49 3/8 of an inch.
And where you buy your bump board and how you order it.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it is. What's funny about it too is I talked to Larry Ramsell at my sister's wedding up here. And boy, what was that? A year ago in April.
Larry didn't marry your sister, did he?
No, he did.
Okay. That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be a bad family to marry in now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding. But Larry, you know, he asked me straight up, he's like, how many 50-inchers have you caught out of this lake? And I said 0. But you know, we've boated 6 49.5s, and I don't know of how many 49s or 48s, blah, blah, blah. And he laughed at me and he goes, you're the dumbest guide in Hayward. and I started chuckling, you know, I was like, what's this guy getting at here? And he goes, no, I'm serious. You're the dumbest guide in Hayward, because every other guide up here would have called that a 50-incher, and you would book out way more. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm not saying that that's true or not, if guys are actually doing that or whatnot. Obviously, it's happened once, but that I know of. But, you know, I moved up here solely based on, I love how pretty it is up here. I love the girth of these fish up here. Like, ultimately, we have some really, on average, really girthy fish. I like heavy fish. And now I'm just kind of getting to the point of, you know, obviously we're looking for the biggest, baddest fish out there. They're in here, no doubt, but they're smart. And how are we going to fool these things?
Yeah, no.
When I was in northern Wisconsin back in the early 2000s, well, for quite a few years there, I spent up there, and I always thought those fish were a little bit smarter. They would go around in a lot more figure eights and never bite, or get to the boat. And that was really when I understood what spooking them at the boat meant. Was in Wisconsin, where the lakes are small and those fish see a lot of lures.
Yep. No, without a doubt. And, you know, it's kind of crazy with this mega side imaging. You know, obviously I'm fishing out of the back of the boat when I can. And what's nice about being in the back of the boat is with that transducer being right there, anytime I bring my bait in, I can do an L turn to my left. It goes in front of that transducer, and I know 100% if there's a muskie there or not. And I cannot tell you, I mean, and this is just me in the back of the boat, not the two people that are up in the front of the boat, about how many fish truly come in to look at your bait and you will never see them in a darker stained body of water. Never. I mean, and it's just wild.
It drives you nuts a little bit, man. It drives you nuts. Like,
it does.
What
does.
What if? Yep.
Yep. And it's like, and you know, the way I look at it is like, number one, we did not fool that fish when we should have, and we got to do something different. And number two is, you know, basically we got to come back to this area at first dark. There's more times than not I can get that fish to bite at first dark when that's happening. If that fish is set up on there mid-afternoon, that fish will be there, and more times than not it will eat. But it often results in tons of figure eights. And I can figure eight that fish as much as I want to during the day. Number one, it won't show itself. Number two, it's not eating. And then you go back to it at first dark. Holy smokes. That fish will go around 8, 9, 10, 11 times and just smoke you.
Well, you know, Michael, you talk about seeing side imaging and stuff. I first was introduced to that stuff with Herbie up on Eagle a million years ago when it was pinpoint. And
sure.
Pinpoint, you could rewind them and look at what came in. And me and Herbie, I fished with him a few days where he'd go over that and over that, where you'd see, you know, you could see you had falls that you never seen. And that was even in that clear water. So I can imagine in dirty water. But what you're saying is, you're not finding that same visualization in the dirty water.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and, you know, we'll get the same thing in the clear bodies of water too. But, you know, a lot of times those fish are so far down and so far back that, you know, you may catch a glimpse of them. But keeping your eye on that side imaging has been huge. You know, and as far as me being able to mark fish that didn't come in, that all three of us didn't get a lure in front of its face, then I can tell them cast 30 feet this way, you know, we just passed a fish. And it kind of goes back to me saying about how smart or lazy these fish can be with them. You know, you have to get this bait on their flipping nose for them to eat it some days. More days than not, I should say.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what you're dealing with a lot smaller lakes and some awful nice fish that see a lot of baits. Up in
and we're seeing it with suckers too. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been running live scope mainly for entertainment purposes in the fall. When it gets too cold, nobody can cast. I'm just pointing this thing at the 2-3 suckers that we got going. There's many, many days that we're having 10 to 15 fish coming up and looking at these suckers and no bites.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool to show these folks. It's like, whoa. These things are not dumb.
I just go, see, I don't suck this bad. There are fish down there. And,
yep.
And
it definitely makes me look better too.
Oh yeah.
I'm old school, and the demo mode on the electronics is always the way for me to go.
Oh yeah.
Then you got
hey, look at this bait we're in right here. There's a big one.
Then you just got to explain it. Why are we in 300 feet of water? Oh, that's salt water. Sorry.
Right.
Those are inches.
Oh, well, guys, it's going to be pretty cool. You're going to be at the Milwaukee show this weekend. Now, Dan, are you going to be there? You're going to have a booth there, right, with Muskie Fool?
Yes, sir. We will. Big old fly fishing booth. Only one there. You guys can't miss it.
All right.
We'll be the ones in dresses with makeup on.
Nice. What? Now, Mike, are you going to be there helping a booth or with your own booth or anything?
Yeah, no, not my own booth. I'm going to be in the Chaos booth and bouncing in and out of the Thorne Brothers booth every once in a while. That's pretty much where I'm going to be there all 3 days. So.
All right. Well, guys, hopefully everything goes good this weekend. And kind of like what Mike said there, guys, if you're wanting to be at the show and you do want to look at maybe some new rods and reels, check out Thorne Brothers. If you're not going to be able to make the show, you can always go to thornbros.com. One thing I want you to check out is some of their new line of stealth rods that they got made. I'm going to be using those this year and really looking forward to it. I've been using the Predators now for a couple of years and love them, but these new stealth rods look pretty cool. So make sure you check out the new line of rods there at Thorne Brothers, thornbros.com. You can check those out. And, guys, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. Hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future. And yeah, Tony, you got anything you want to say? Tony, are you there? Tony.
Checked out again.
This is why.
I had the mute on. My phone was ringing. I wanted you to mention the 2 Muskie Road Rules you got coming up in Minnesota, which we haven't been there in a lot of years. And made an announcement about our May 13th Muskie Hunter Tournament down here at Cave Run.
All right. Yeah, no, we do have our Thorne Brothers. We have 2 Muskie Road Rules events going to be happening in Minnesota here, not this weekend, but next. On Saturday, we're going to be, excuse me, on Saturday, we're going to be at the American Legion in Nishwa, Minnesota, right there near Brainerd. We're going to have Kevin Cochran and Riley Hanson from the Leech Lake area and Kevin Cochran from the Cass Lake and Bemidji area there. It's going to be a pretty cool event. Make sure you check that out. And then at the Minnesota, the next day, we're going to be in Thorne Brothers, and we're going to have Mike, you're going to be there at that event, right? You haven't canceled on me yet?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. And
I'm speaking too, right?
Yes, that's what I mean. You're going to be there.
Perfect.
And you're going to be speaking. And then we've also got Ryan McMahon. Ryan, who's an old pro at the podcast here with us, who fishes a lot in the metro and out in the western part of Minnesota. He's going to be there. So, guys, check that out. You can go to Muskie Road Rules, Muskie with a Y website, and you can either sign up there, early signees, get a free stealth leader, or you can just pay right at the door, and we'll let you in. We are kicking no one out. We are like the UN. Everybody can come. We will, and then we're going to have another Muskie Hunter tournament this spring. It's going to be on May 13th down here at Cave Run Lake. We're going to get that up on the website here soon, so you can sign up for that. And, yeah, it's going to be a good deal. Dan, you got anything you want to promote?
Check us out at muskiepool.com, man. That's it. That's all I got. You know where to find us after that. Come check out the shop. It's one of a kind, and we love talking to everybody, no matter if you fly fish or not. We're all musky fools at the end of the day, right?
All right.
Hey Dan, are you going to do the whole trail or just the Madison event, or what's it look like?
Well, there's a problem with me getting a boat, so I think my boat's only going to be ready for the Madison one. We'll dip our toes in and see how she goes, but we'd like to participate in the whole thing going forward. But I can't use a drift boat on Cave Run, or at least I'd get my ass whooped. So we'll be there in Madison, no doubt. But other than that, we'll see all three of you hopefully in a couple days.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to sign off here. It was great talking to you, Tony. It's always a pleasure anytime I can speak to you.
Oh, exactly. Mike, you got a website to throw out there with your guidance?
Yeah. It's naguideservice.com, Namakagon Area Guide Service, excuse me.
Do you fish Namakagon?
Yeah, no, I definitely do.
Well, there's Tony, did I tell you that Eddie bought a house on Namakagon?
Yep.
Eddie and Renee. If you hear a very, very distinct South Side Chicago accent just screaming because he lost his something out there this summer, that is probably South Side Eddie, a guy that
I don't know, man. You may have just narrowed it down to like 8 people.
Oh my God!
There's a few of those around.
Oh,
here,
you just got to get to know Eddie out there. He is one of a kind. Jesus Christ! I've got 20 years with him, and he is one of a kind. But
no kidding, huh? Cool.
But him and his girl just bought a place out there, and he's a retired Chicago fire captain. And
cool.
And they just bought it. I haven't even talked to him about it yet. Hopefully he'll be at if he's at Milwaukee, I will introduce you to him, because that is an experience.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I mean, I live on Lake Namakagon, but I chose that name, Namakagon Area Guide Service, because I looked at all the counties I fish in, and that damn Namakagon River extends through almost all of them. So.
Oh yeah, it's cool. Now, when I was in Hayward, I did some guiding in Hayward me and Chad Kane lived together it used to be Dow's Corner, a bait store.
Oh yeah.
We lived
you can drink a shot out of a plunger down there.
It wasn't much different when we were there. But it was an actual
delicious. You got to try it.
That's what Greg had martinis in.
Yeah, I thought that was a martini glass forever. It was we lived down there. I always say we lived there in the back, and Vicky, the lady that owned it, one of the meanest white women I've ever met, she would always yell at us for flushing the toilet because it made her minnow tank water stop working. She was that place. We fished a shitload on lower clam. And
sure.
And that's that, and Big Sis, and Lacoudere, and a lot of those lakes, Spider Chain, Teal, all those. But no, that was a long time ago. But yeah, Tony, you got anything you want to finish up with?
Well, I sent this message to you. You may have answered already. I didn't listen to the last podcast, but the guy asked about the dying dog. Did you get to...
What was he wanting to know? I remember you saying that. I forgot.
Let's see. Here. Hold on. There's been a... let's see.
Use your words.
Okay. Hi, guys. Picked up my first dying dog and wanted to ask about the best way to use it. Is it meant for more open water? Do you use it more in the middle... end of the season? Hoping to hear back from Greg.
Oh my God!
Helped create it.
I made the thing in my kitchen. No, I mean, with the dying dog, I mean, it's just a standard old jerkbait. I mean, it's I know guys that do real well early season on it all the way through. Open water at St. Clair, we always caught fish on it there. Out in the open, and I know some guys up in Canada that do open water fishing with it. But it's just kind of a bait that can be used in a lot of different areas. It's slow rise. I like to actually put a chaos weight on the front hook and get it down. I actually fish it in the areas where, we would throw typical bulldogs, and you're trying to get down a little bit deeper. If you put that chaos weight in the front, it'll actually sink nose first, and you can get it down as deep as you want to. If you throw it out and, on a standard, giving it a 2 or 3 foot pull on a retrieve, you can get that thing down, as much as 10 feet on a standard retrieve. And if you go slower, hell, that thing will stay right off the bottom. So for me, the Dying Dog's been kind of a universal bait that I'll fish all year long. And it all comes down to how hard you want to work it. Personally, I do really well with just little, maybe 1 foot, 2 foot at the most, twitches on it, and just kind of get it to hopping down there and giving it good little rips at the boat straight up, and that seems to work pretty good for me. But it's definitely a really good open water bait, but still around structure too. I've had real good luck with it as well.
So, Greg, you said a chaos weight on a Muskie Innovations product?
Yes. I'm a
I'm the crossover guy.
I like to bring it all together. It's all part of of the same dysfunctional family. I enjoy, but no, I've done really well putting those weights on there, and I've caught a lot of fish weighting those things down, and it's just something different in a zone where I'm sure they've never seen something like that in that zone before. So
absolutely,
Greg, we've seen over the last quite a few years with it, guys who, it's like most musky baits. You get it, and if you have that early success, you use it more and you get more fish. And there's been a ton of fish in the South caught on them. I remember a guide day, I was guiding right behind you, and you pulled one out right in front of me. I think a 44-incher down at Longbow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the early. And it does seem like a lot of them are caught, just from what I know about it, early and late. But you say guys are using them in camp, guys are doing open water with them, so they're pretty versatile.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, it's like you said, it's a bait that doesn't have a huge following, but the guys that do throw them love them. And I talked to Brad Rue about this, and he's like, if ever, the guys that do throw them don't like talking about them because they are doing really well with them. I've gotten pictures of some really huge fish that guys have caught with them, and it's pretty cool. It's neat to see stuff like that, and they're a bait that, like I said, you can do a lot of stuff with them, and being able to put those baits into areas that where fish have probably not seen that particular action before, and I think that makes it a really cool lure.
Hey, on the other front here on the text machine is there's been a request for guests, and they would like to see Larry Jones and Bob Meisecomer on the podcast at the same time.
Oh my God! No one, then we wouldn't be able to talk.
You can put
Jesus Christ! The twin towers coming in at it. That would be interesting. I'm sure that would be quite the talkers there, but I don't know. But let's
about Mosini, about some of your behavior there.
I was fine, wasn't I?
Well, it said Greg was well medicated, whatever that means.
That means I was good.
And it says that my replacement peed on the floor twice.
That was River. River's a peer.
I'm hoping that's one of the dogs and not Nathan.
It was River. Yeah, River peed on the floor at Jim's place a couple times, and I was telling everybody that Brody was you reincarnated in dog form. But all right, guys, let's cut this off. We've been going over an hour. What now?
Give the Lunge and Lure text number out one more time.
One more time. So, Tony needs something to do. He's not doing as much anymore. And give him big words. And get him like words with friends. I think that would be good. It's 606-776-6570. Lunge and Lures text line. 606-776-6570. Guys, I'm cutting her off here. You guys have a good night. and we'll see you this weekend at the show.
Cheers, gentlemen. See ya.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Bye.